In this video, I'm going to be discussing the importance of music education and how it can benefit students in all areas of their lives. Hi, my name is Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and I'm a music teacher with over 20 years of experience in the music classroom. In this video, I'm here to talk about the importance of music education. A lot of people don't realise just how beneficial it can be for students, but I'm going to list off 5 reasons why music education is so important. Let's get started. Music as education, 5 reasons why music education is important. Welcome. We're going to do all these 5 different reasons, and if you're preparing for Music in Our Schools month, these are 5 reasons that you can certainly celebrate in your school. So why is music important? So the 5 things that music does, we know they do. It helps to improve academic performance. Music helps to develop problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills. Music helps to improve self-esteem and boost confidence. It also helps to encourage the use of imagination and creativity, and music really does help when you are trying to develop cultural understanding. We're going to go into each one of those a little bit more deeply, so let's get started. So music education, or music as education, can offer lessons that cannot be found in a textbook. Music as education provides both cognitive and personal growth for all learners. By encouraging in musical activities, all students can benefit from the numerous pedagogical possibilities it presents, such as improving problem-solving skills, practical senses like timing and balance, memory function, connection to emotion and personal history, as well as appreciation of music as an art form. So there's just some of the reasons, but we're going to go into those 5 other ones in a little bit more detail. So as I said, the 5 benefits that music education offers that we know as music educators, we know this, we see this in our lessons all the time, how these things actually help our students, okay? And it doesn't matter what age we're talking about, whether we're talking the littlies in preschool up to year 12 students, okay, and obviously college students and beyond. My education and my teaching experience is in from grade 7 to 12, and I know the importance of having music, especially as a mandatory subject in year 7. That's what it was at my school. Sometimes they teach it in 7 and 8, but the importance of having music education, it broadens their horizons, and honestly, every child should have some sort of music education in their whole education experience. But what are the 5 reasons? Okay, why does music help so much? It helps to improve academic performance. It develops problem-solving and critical thinking skills. It improves self-esteem and boosts confidence. It encourages the use of imagination and creativity. And it helps to develop cultural understanding. Now, at this time of recording, which is in January of 2023, this is a time when AI has just sort of exploded onto the scene. So we're talking about artificial intelligence. And the reason I mention that is because no amount of artificial intelligence can replace creativity and imagination that comes from a student, and you can't replicate that in the anywhere else but in the music classroom. Okay, the creativity they can't find if they're composing or singing, they can't replicate that and find that on the internet in AI. They have to actually do it themselves. Okay, so this is something that cannot be falsely done. It has to be done in the moment, it has to be done at the time, and it's real. It's a way that we can get our students actually doing something and developing those skills up as a part to using AI and all those things, which is again at the time of recording, this is a big thing in the news, a big thing for educators and how they're going to stop AI in the classroom. I don't think you're going to, but I tell you what, in music, you can't fake it. You have to actually do it yourself. There's no one that can fake it. So music as education improves academic performance. Now, as I said, I'm a teacher that teaches 7 to 12. Now, my year 12 students, okay, in the past have always performed really, really well. And I've worked in some pretty tough schools, okay? But here's the thing. Those kids are usually top performers in the school. Okay. And I really do think music has a lot to do with that, because we develop so many different skills in music that they don't have to develop in other subjects. Okay. And we're going to talk about those today, but there's other things besides these 5, but these are the 5 ones which I think are the biggie 5s. Okay. So research has shown that when music is included in the education of a student, that it helps to improve the cognitive ability of the student, which in turn helps them to perform better academically. Now we know, okay, that if your student is reading the music and playing the music at the same time, they're actually using both sides of the brain. And very, very, very few activities do that. Okay. If you're writing, you're using one particular side of your brain. If you're playing a sport, you're using a different side of your brain. Music actually uses both. And there is a study conducted at Stanford University that found students with higher levels of musical engagement achieved higher scores on math tests than their counterparts who had lower levels of musical engagement. Now, there are so many studies out there. I'm not going to actually go into all of them, because believe me, do a simple search and you'll find them. Music as education also benefits the young mind by stimulating both sides of the brain at once while participating in the performance of an instrument. And that's what I was just talking about. So this is achieved because as a student is both reading the music and playing it on an instrument, both the left and right hemisphere of the brain is used to process the information. One side of the brain, I always get it wrong, so one side of the brain is used to actually read, okay, the music. The other side of the brain is more to do with the fine motor, the big motor skills that they're using to actually do the actual performance of the instrument. So if they're reading it and they're actually performing it, not only are they doing that, okay, but they're also listening to try and find out if they're, especially if it's a class or a small ensemble, listening to see how it's going, and they're making judgments on the go all the time in a musical performance. Okay, your brain just doesn't use that much. Okay, if you're reading, you're usually only using one side of the brain. If you're drawing, you're using another side of your brain. But music is one of the few activities that uses both sides of the brain. And the more a student does it, the more neural pathways are developed. And it's a bit like, I'm a country girl, so, I know what it's like when I look out the back paddock and I see sheep on one side and cows out the back. Not my properties, but I see them. I'm in a small rural town here in New South Wales. And, if you've ever seen a track, now, a cow or sheep, they tend to follow the same track through a paddock. Now, if they've newly have gone into a paddock, the tracks aren't very, very well worn. But those well worn paths are a bit like the neural pathway. So the first time you see the track, maybe a couple of sheep or a couple of cows have gone through it. Okay, and it's not very well worn. It's not a very definite track. But the more they use that track, the more definite that track becomes. And that's the same in music. When you're using both sides of the brain and in any activity, the more you do it, the more you actually are developing those neural pathways. And every time you do an activity, it makes that neural pathway stronger. And that's why when you're doing music, you're connecting both sides of the brain, and it's actually making those pathways much, much stronger. Okay. I don't know all the science behind it. All I know is it does exist and it does make a difference. Okay. So there is a lot of information and studies out there to support this information. Do some research yourself to find out more about this very interesting topic. One book that I have read, and I've read all of his books, I think I have anyway, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now he talks about the brain and how much of an importance it is to actually the pathways and how brain function works and all that sort of stuff. And it's a really interesting read. They're very heavy books, content, but they're really great information. And as I said, there's so many studies out there that support the fact that music actually uses both sides of the brain at the one time, which is great for all learners. Music as education improves problem solving and critical thinking skills. Oh my goodness, this is, as I said, this is one of the biggies, and you can't replicate this in so many other subjects. So another benefit of music as education is the development and use of problem solving and critical thinking skills in the act of music making. So that might be as in performing or creating or composing. Okay. Could also be in listening. So when a music student is working through a difficult passage or challenging piece, this requires students to think critically about what they're doing and come up with solutions on the spot when they encounter problems while playing, singing, creating, or responding to music. This helps the music student to develop problem-solving skills, which will be beneficial throughout their lives, both inside and outside of school settings. Now, I cannot tell you the number of times I've had students when they're doing a composition, and I like to get my kids to do compositions as a group task, and they are having to develop so many skills in that. Now, it's interesting. Now, I said I've taught a lot of kids, and at most of the schools I've taught, I've had generally students who are academically supposed to be at a lower level and students who are at a gifted level. Okay, I have that range. Now, interestingly, the kids at the gifted level struggle more so with working together as a part of a team because they're so used to working on their own. And that is why I really love using this sort of those sorts of things and developing these skills in the music classroom. The kids that are who are academically lower, okay, find it actually much easier to work together, but they have trouble necessarily coming up with ideas, which is where, as a music teacher, we help them. But I can tell you that the skills, no matter which level the student is at, they're gaining so many skills that you cannot buy or cannot teach in other areas because they have to work through those skills in the moment, on the spot, as they're going to create something and get themselves to a product at the end. So improving problem solving and critical thinking skills can also be done through making music with a performance or composition as part of a smaller group ensemble. When working in this situation, other problem-solving skills are needed as students work through problems that are brought about through the performance or composition, which is what I was just talking about. Problems such as working together to keep in time with one another, critically analysing the sounds created with a combination of instruments and chord patterns, or even just working through the problems that arise when working with different personalities and opinions. That's a biggie. The development of both problem solving and critical thinking skills is highly valued in today's workforce, and the music student will be at an advantage thanks to their participation in music education. As I said, you cannot put a price on getting kids to work together to come up with a product at the end, whether it be a performance or a composition. Now, generally what I do with my year sevens is I actually will mark performance and composition. They have to create the performance, create the actual composition, and then they have to perform it. So they're getting marked both ways. I said, I find it, especially in year 7, it makes a big difference because they're developing so many skills. As I said, you just can't get that and replicate that in other subjects. One more way that a music student can develop their critical thinking skills is through the listening and analysing of music using the elements of music or concepts of music, depending on where you are. When a music student is given the tools and music terminology to study and evaluate how an element of music is used in a piece of music, they're required to use their analytical and critical thinking skills. Now, if you'd like more information about the 8 elements of music, please, you can either watch more videos here on this YouTube channel or on my Facebook page if you're watching there. But you can see the YouTube channel is at Julia Harvey-Trappel 759. That's my handle. So you can actually pop that in. You'll find stacks of things there. But critical thinking skills, now that analytical thing, listening to a piece of music and focusing through the lens of, say, pitch. Okay, what can they hear? What can they hear? Are they listening? Are they listening for the melody? Are they listening for the chord patterns? Are they listening for how the melody is performed, the techniques used, the way it's actually constructed, the structure of the song? All those are analytical skills that you can, again, are developed really easily in the music classroom, especially through the 8 elements of music. But honestly, if the kid or a student can do that, not only will their performances improve, but also their composition. So you can't do one without the other. But honestly, critical thinking, problem-solving skills are developed in the music classroom on a daily, lesson-by-lesson basis. The next one, music education boosts self-esteem and confidence. Now, we as music educators know this already, that some little bunnies, they come into your music classroom and they don't shine in many places, and they haven't maybe had the opportunity to have some sort of music education, and they get an instrument in their hand and they suddenly realize that this is their place in the world, that this is what they can do and they can do it well. And I'll tell you what, that confidence explodes. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch. And I said, I've seen so many students that go from year 7 to 12. And I said, I'm really lucky that most of my kids, when I've taught them in year 7, I will take them through to year 12. So I see them again in 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that development of a student is just a beautiful thing to watch. Can't replace it as a music teacher. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. But watching their self-esteem and their confidence grow is beautiful, and it can be done so beautifully in the music classroom. So another benefit of music as education is learning how to master an instrument or sing. When students are given the opportunity to perform, they get a sense of accomplishment that can boost their self-esteem and confidence. This increase in confidence can have a positive effect on other areas of life, including schoolwork and social interactions with peers. Now, I've had so many students in the past, as I said, they found their spot in the music classroom and they found their place in the world through music, whether it be as a vocalist or an instrumentalist, no matter what the instrument is. And honestly, the confidence that they gain in that by playing their instrument is just mind-blowing. Again, you can't actually replicate that anywhere else. It is something that is such a self-esteem and confidence booster. So learning an instrument often requires students to devote time each day practicing. This also helps to build discipline as well as confidence in their abilities when they master a new song or technique after hard work and dedication. This confidence booster can be increased further when the music students perform as part of a small or larger ensemble, such as band, orchestra, or choir. The boost to a music student's self-esteem and confidence is helped with positive reinforcement when they accomplish something challenging or difficult as part of a larger group. Now, you can watch more about that on one of my other videos or blog posts, which I talk about rewards in the classroom, and go there and and classroom management. I talk about these sorts of things, positive reinforcement, more there. So I'm not going to go into detail. But the thing is, again, as a music teacher, I've been so lucky. So you can sort of see that one behind me, that one there. When I left one of my schools, we had done 3 big musicals. It was, what did we do? We did Back to the 80s, a totally awesome musical. We did Grease, and we did Bye Bye Birdie. So we did that in about the space of 4 years. We had some amazing students, but I tell you what, it was so beautiful to watch those kids develop themselves as a musician, as a person, as a singer in those shows, and getting to work closely with them and see them actually do that has been amazing. Now, my current school, thanks to COVID, we haven't had the opportunity to do as many shows. Thank you, COVID. But when we were doing shows, okay, again, that confidence where there was kids, I'm thinking of one particular young student, they weren't really sure of their place in the world, but I gave them the opportunity to showcase what they could do. And everybody, when they saw the show and saw what that child was doing on stage, they were just absolutely floored. They couldn't believe that was the same kid they saw in their classroom. And I was able to get them and encourage them and give them the confidence to do what they did on stage. And that you can't replace. And that is why music education is so important. So students become proud of their accomplishments, which leads to them to strive further towards bigger goals. This is especially true when it comes to mastering complex pieces on the instruments. Additionally, working towards something challenging builds patience and perseverance, which are important qualities for success both inside and outside of school environments. How often do we see as teachers, and especially as our kids get older, our older students, that they don't have the patience to actually develop a skill? And again, I see that very quickly in the music classroom with my year 7 students. I give them something to play and they go, I can't do that. I said, well, you can. We're going to show you how to do it, and you're going to build. And, you don't throw them in the deep end and give them something really hard to do. You give them something they can actually do first. Now, I was actually at Elton John a couple of weeks ago, and there was a busker there on the bagpipes, and they were playing a few different songs. So one of the songs he was playing, which made me giggle, on the bagpipes, was Baby Shark. Now, what it did was brought back memories straight away, because when one of the first songs I play with my year 7 students is Baby Shark, because it's 3 notes, and they love playing it, and we can do so many things with it. But that gives them that confidence straight away, because they go, I can't play that. I said, yeah, you can. We're going to do it, and I'm going to show you how, and we're all going to make some noise, and hopefully that noise turns into music. And it does. Might take a bit, but it does. And again, that perseverance and that patience and developing that discipline as a musician, you know, you can't be a great musician unless you have some sort of discipline. You can't. You gotta work at it. You gotta be you practice at it. And this is one of those things that music does for kids. It gives them something to work towards, a goal to work towards, whether it be a piece of music or a performance of some sort or whatever it is. And music education certainly does that. So music education improves creativity and imagination. I'm preaching to the converted here. We know as music educators that music does this. We know that, okay? But it has been proven, okay? So music as education naturally allows for the creative expression, for creative expression and exploration. Through music, students can express themselves in unique ways that cannot be done through other activities. This can help them to develop their imagination and foster creative thinking. When you give a student the chance to explore music making through playing an instrument or composing, you are providing them with the opportunity to use all their creative and imagination skills in a hands-on and practical way. And that's one of the best things about music, is that you're getting them to actually be creative while doing something with their hands. They're actually making music, and it's the whole sensory experience. So another way that students can develop their imagination and creativity in music is through listening to a wide variety of music. And the best thing you can do is give them lots of different things to listen to. Simply by asking students to listen to a piece of music and letting their imagination run with their creative thoughts, students can interpret the story of what the music is trying to convey. Now, another thing I used to do with my Year 7 students, I haven't done this for a while, but it was the Peer Gynt Suite and In the Hall of the Mountain Kin. Now, one of the things we used to do was we'd play that music and we'd actually get them to do a piece of creative writing in response to it. So we'd tell the story, you know, that this story was about, you know, that particular piece was about the Peer Gynt who'd been captured, and he was supposed to marry the ugly daughter of the king, and he didn't want to. And we say to the kids, now, what do you think's happening in this music? And as you know, with that particular piece of music, it starts off really low, really soft, quite slow, and it repeats and repeats and builds up until something quite dramatic at the end. And it's amazing when you let their creativity go, what the kids actually can come up with in a piece of writing. But this could be any piece of music. It doesn't matter what it is. You can give them any piece of music and let their imagination run. Again, artificial intelligence can't do that for a child. You've got to you've got to give the child the opportunity to actually listen to the piece of music and let their imagination go. You know, even if you don't do it as a writing exercise, just get them to quietly listen and ask them afterwards, what do you think the music was about? What were going through your head? What was going through your head? What images were coming to your mind's eye? They're the sorts of things, by letting that creativity go. Music as education is an invaluable tool for all students, as it encourages them to think creatively and use their imagination. With the help of music teachers, music students can explore a range of musical techniques in the classroom setting, engaging with sound in a hands-on way. Music lessons provide an outlet for students to express themselves and gain new skills that they can use to develop their creativity, while encouraging collaborations with peers that may not usually interact with. From writing lyrics to understanding score composition, music classrooms are important places where kids can foster their creative sensibilities and broaden their conception of the world around them. As I said, we know music does that as a music educator, but sometimes we need to point other people our way and say, well, this is what music education does, because some people might think that music education is not important. I beg to differ. So the last thing here that I've got in this particular one is that music education improves cultural understanding. And again, music is one of those language in the world that everybody understands, no matter what part of the world you're from, okay? You hear a piece of music and you get a response to it. And this is what music can do. It can actually narrow that gap between different cultures, because music is a universal language. So it really does help to encourage cultural understanding within a culture or within different cultures. Okay, so there's, you know, everybody's different. So music as education is the perfect vehicle for learning about different genres of music from around the world. Now, I do say genres because within, like, my experience is mainly rock and pop, bit of classical because I had to do it. Bit of jazz, okay, but for other kids, their experience might be in folk music. It might be in more traditional music from wherever they happen to be, their family happens to be originally from. So there are different what they bring to the table and the instruments they bring to the table and their own understanding of music, what they bring to the table can be very different in the one classroom I'm talking, let alone around the world. Okay, so we know that music lessons that include music from all over the globe provide students with valuable cultural knowledge that can help them understand different societies better, as well as appreciate different musical styles from other cultures that may differ from their own. Now, there might be a student in your class who's been brought up on country music. Now, I don't hate country music. And there might be other kids in your class who are brought up on hip hop because that's what their parents listen to. Bridging the gap, okay, and showing that both of them has validity as a musical expression is a very empowering thing. Getting kids to understand that, just because someone likes a different style of music to you doesn't mean that you have to hate them or dislike them or ridicule them in any way, shape, or form. No, appreciate the music. And one of the best things is if you use the 8 elements of music, you can see how that in each style, what the actual music is doing. And again, it's just bridging that cultural understanding and giving kids an opportunity to listen wide. Okay. Music is universal. It transcends language barriers, races, ages, and gender differences. By exposing music students to different types of music from around the world, okay, they are able to gain an understanding of different cultures that will stay with them throughout their lives. This understanding can lead to greater empathy and appreciation for people who may be different than themselves. Now, for many years, I was a part of an African drumming group, a djembe group, and I tell you what, it really did broaden my horizons of rhythm, especially as a white woman who has been brought up and their musical training is in Western European tradition, which means classical music. Okay, my sense of rhythm was very narrow compared to what I was playing on the djembe as part of a larger group. And I tell you what, it was one of the best things I ever did. And I still play it. I still use that in the classroom regularly, performing on djembes with lots of different rhythms, because again, it just broadens the horizons of the students and gives them a different way of listening and appreciating music. So music as education is an important part of curriculums in schools across the world, as it provides young minds with multiple benefits that are not always gained by other subjects studied at school. Music in education encourages imagination, creativity, and experimentation through collaboration and individual growth in producing beautiful pieces of art. And music is art. Okay. Music also helps to instill discipline in an interesting way that can be utilized across other curricular areas, such as memorization and practice, critical thinking skills, and problem solving. Finally, music has a powerful impact on self-esteem and confidence. Music classrooms are special places of learning and growth. They offer an atmosphere of creativity and connection that draws out the best in students. Whether it's joining a chorus, mastering an instrument, or giving voice to their own musical compositions, music students flourish under the guidance of music teachers who understand the benefits of music as education. Through music lessons, these students learn to believe in their talents and foster skills that will last long beyond their time in the music classroom. How would you like some more ideas on how to make your music classes more interesting and fun? Try these ideas in the 5 ways to make over your music curriculum download. Now, don't click on this screen. You're not going to get there. I should have changed that. But you can go to this link, juliajulia.com/make over your music curriculum, all smooshed together. And you'll get a booklet that gives you stacks and stacks of information, 5 different ways that you can actually make over your music curriculum and make it interesting for your music students. So I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources. My mission is to help busy teachers like you in classrooms around the world with resources you need to teach music appreciation to inspire the next generation of musicians. That's what I want to do. So I hope that in this video you've had some inspiration. If you'd like to know more, you can find more information about this blog post or this video, plus everything you need to know about the Elements of Music resources on the website. If you go to juliajulia.com, you'll see this blog post actually there. If you're watching the video, go and have a look at that, read it. Some people prefer to read. But if you're busy and you'd love to buy some music resources, you can find all the resources mentioned in here, which actually there is not really anything I mentioned in here. This is all just about good teaching and why you should be teaching music and why music education is so important and beneficial to students. But you can go over to my Teachers Pay Teacher store, do your teaching resources, and go and check out everything that I've got over there for you. Currently, there's over 600 products there for you to have a look at and see if you would like anything to help you in your music classroom. But if you'd like another freebie, okay, I've got another free resource for you, which is a free copy of your Elements of Music mind maps, which are used in those mind maps are used in all of my blog posts about the elements of music. Okay, so they're in there. It's a freebie. It's a blank one. You can use them so many different ways in your classroom. Go to juliajulia.com/free mind maps to go grab yourself a copy of those. And thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much for watching. So be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below. So until next time, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.